ye mo kwaba e de eba the Punch TV so ye punch so what I say eti aha ye wo headquarters ye de all the political issues are ekoso o man Ghana mu ano ye de bro and some bebre ekoso e wo man Ghana mu ase ade achi ade sa no wa wani ti a ye MPP ene ye NDC omo nsensem no ba na eba wo number 1 channel a Danny Brayina obema all the political news no the Punch TV. Mess also subscribe to your YouTube channel no. Like video imame, share ma fufuro nya bi hwe. Na fi notification bell no fa wonsa eboso. Me pa cho comment section no fa comment bra. Emra ye kwakwohwe sa video yi. Fa comment bra. Na me ba be translate na ma kenkan ni nyina kama de ama wo. Video bi etwagu yenko na yenkonkotie emu ensem emfambra.
So for the media, the report of the committee as well as the vote and proceedings are here. If you want to do some research on the matter that he alleged that I was involved and I channeled, I made sure that the membership of the committee was, changed, and then the monies from the sanitation levy were channeled to my friend, and so on and so forth. I'm not friends with whoever was the beneficiary of the sanitation levy. But interestingly, A+ warned me in the post not to do anything silly and that he will come after me if I did. That is laughable. First of all, I do not act silly because I think through the consequences of my actions, not only for my person, but also for others. That is what we were taught in Notre Dame Minor Seminary, and I am proud to say, without fear of any contradiction, that I have kept faith with that principle. Secondly, the threat is laughable because I have nothing to hide. I am reliably informed that his basis of saying that I am corrupt and a thief is that I took campaign contribution from a businessman at East Legon known as Dr. Sledge, and that he also knows the people who donated pickups for my campaign. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if receiving donations for your campaign or getting a pickup for a campaign is thievery or corruption, then there are 276 thieves in Parliament, including the person who was making the allegation himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, if A+ has any evidence of corruption or thievery against me, I am challenging him today to call a press conference and present the evidence or present it to the police to investigate me. In contrast, the media should ask him about the silly thing that I was about to do, which frightened him so much into making that silly post about me. He should be asked what he knows about the National Service ghost name scandal and related matters. If he can give truthful answers to these questions, then Ghanaians will know why he took to social media to do what he did. But let him be warned that in my hometown of Zorungu, we do not fear mud being thrown at us. On the contrary, we walk into the mud to deal with the person doing the mud slinging. And I am prepared to walk into the mud with A+. Because what I have about him and the National Service scandal, he should come and tell you. I'm challenging him. He should come and tell you, the media, and stop cowardly hiding behind social media to make baseless allegations against people who have worked hard to earn a reputation. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think I will end here. Thank you.
What about
And we started late before the High Court. And of course, the Defense Counsel was at their best trying to put impediments in the way of what I was asking the court to do, and we delayed a little bit. But as the Honorable Minister for Government Communications has indicated, I am here today to give you an update of developments relating to our quest as a government to exact accountability as promised by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. You'll recall that on March 20th, 2025, I appeared before you to provide a briefing on the arrest and detention of Mr. Kwame Edubohi, a former director of the National Signals Bureau, and the progress of investigations into the elaborate criminal enterprise that he set up to rob his fellow citizens of millions of Ghana cedis. I informed you then that meticulous investigations undertaken by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, otherwise known as EOCO, had uncovered a scheme that Mr. Edubohi set up, which resulted in the loss of 49,100,000 Ghana cedis, or at the prevailing exchange rate in February and March 2020, when the crime took place, the equivalent of 7 million United States of American dollars. At today's exchange rate, this will be 108,500,000 Ghana cedis. That is the cost of one Agenda 111 hospital going into one person's pocket. I can now confirm that at the conclusion of our investigations, that is exactly how much he stole from the taxpayers of this our beloved country. In consequence, and in exercise of the power conferred on me under Article 88 of the Constitution, I have today filed charges against Mr. Edubohi, his wife Angela Ajay-Boateng, one Mildred Donko, a former employee of UMB Bank, who resigned just in time to join in the criminal enterprise, and a company called Advantage Solutions Limited, a holding company owned by Mr. Edubohi and his wife, which received a substantial portion of the funds and was used as a conduit for funneling the funds into other companies owned by them. These other companies are Vertex Properties Limited, Vertex Solutions, and of course, the famous BNC Communications Bureau Limited, which was, if you remember, that was a vehicle that was used to steal the 49,100,000 Ghana cedis from the national security accounts. Based on the evidence on the docket, we have charged Mr. Edubohi with stealing, 3 counts of stealing, 1 count of defrauding by false pretenses, another count of willfully causing financial loss to the state, another count of using public office for profit and money laundering. His wife, Angela Ajay-Boateng, has been charged with conspiracy to steal, collaboration to commit the crime of using public office for private benefit or profit, conspiracy to commit money laundering and money laundering. In the case of Mildred Donko, we have charged her with 2 counts of conspiracy to commit money laundering and money laundering. The same goes for the company known as Advantage Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, my fellow countrymen and women, I am keenly aware of the criticisms that were leveled against me after my March 2025 press conference. In particular, some of our compatriots accused me of judging Mr. Edubohi and his dear wife prior to filing charges, and others opined that what I said of them should have been left to the courts to decide. I respectfully disagree for a number of reasons. The first is that I said nothing at that press conference that suggested even remotely that their guilt had been predetermined. Far from that. As the Attorney General of this Republic, I am the first to acknowledge that no matter how watertight the evidence of a prosecutor is, the accused is still entitled to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. That is a principle enshrined in Article 19 of our Constitution. And I cannot go against that cardinal principle. The second reason why I disagree with those of my fellow countrymen and women who think that the matters are dealt with at these press conferences should be left to the courts is that the constitutions require that we act, at least in public office, with probity and accountability. I see these press briefings, including the one I'm having today, as a way of breathing life into those cardinal values of our Constitution. Lastly, I think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with a prosecutor exhibiting confidence in his case. With particular reference to the case under review, the diligent investigations by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office led by Mr. Raymond Archer gives me a high level of hope and confidence that, all things being equal, I will obtain convictions on most, if not all, of the charges that I have preferred today. Besides the documentary evidence involving bank statements, deposit slips, check numbers, and so on and so forth, we have persons with deep knowledge of the matter who have agreed to testify at the trial. Persons with very deep knowledge, primary persons who were close to the action, have agreed after having been, interrogated, about what they know, they have agreed to testify in this matter. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, my fellow countrymen and women, between March 2025, when I announced the arrest and detention of Mr. Eduboahin and his accomplices, and now, there has been some speculation as to whether my press conference was yet another piece of political propaganda. Some media houses actually claimed that I had been deceived into holding the press conference and that I had in turn misled His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic. Let it be known that unlike some presidents in the past who were misled, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is on top of his brief and cannot be misled. Indeed, if any appointee would mislead the president, it would not be his Attorney General. So everything I have told the president, I have evidence to prove it, and the docket is replete with documentary evidence of the wrongdoing that has been investigated. Having said that, I wish to let it be known that the delay in filing charges came about because our diligent investigation team came across yet another scheme hatched by Mr. Eduboahin, this time involving Ghana Water Company Limited. This criminal enterprise involved the purported provision of secured internet services to Ghana Water Company Limited by the erstwhile Bureau of National Communications, now National Signals Bureau. The contract document showed that Ghana Water was to pay BNC, that is the national BNC, the sum of 650,000 Ghana cedis every 2 weeks for secured internet services from BNC, that is the Bureau of National Communications. However, for purposes of the payment, Kwame Eduboahin provided the account details of his company, BNC Communications Bureau Limited, to Ghana Water, which religiously paid for the internet services. In other words, every 2 weeks when 650,000 Ghana cedis of money from Ghana Water left the bank accounts of Ghana Water, instead of going to the National Signals Bureau account, it went to the account of a company known as Bureau of National Communications, owned by Kwame Eduboahin and his wife, Okay? And then they did what they wanted to do with the money. So for every month, Ghana Water paid 1.3 million Ghana cedis to Kwame Edubohin and his company in exchange for internet services provided by the government. Because remember that the National Signals Bureau is a government agency. Now come to think of it, that the government agency is providing secured internet services to Ghana Water Limited, a limited liability company solely owned by the same government. And Ghana Water is spending money that they do not have, okay, to pay for internet services at that cost, 1.3 million Ghana cedis every month. In fact, the figure rose to 1.5 million Ghana cedis every month at the close of our investigations. Now, you remember that in 2020, Bureau of National Communications became National Signals Bureau. And so, because the contract documents stipulated that the payments be made to Bureau of National Communications, Ghana Water then demanded that the check payments be made to National Signals Bureau because of the change in the corporate identity of BNC. What then happened was that any time the check was made out to National Signals Bureau and it landed in the accounts of National Signals Bureau, Kwame Edubohin, as director of National Signals Bureau, would then immediately write a check to himself and transfer the money. From our investigations, you can see the movement of the money. Immediately it comes from Ghana Water, he signs a check and transfers the money into his personal company account. Now, today something happened in court. Counsel for the defense told the judge that whatever I had said.
I was saying, video no, and I akwa shaba no what's munsem and some bebre and I koso ewo oman Ghana mu say NDC ni MPP all the political parties omo nsensem na what's in some na e koso be pa cho say na wadwene eyo fa comment ebra ewo comment section the Punch TV subscribe like video no na fe share ema foforo enye bi enhwe.